Welcome to the TTT News Special. I'm DK Roster. Now, the 19th of August is observed as World Humanitarian Day. And with that in mind, we are joined by Gemma Malchan-Benny, Project Manager for ITNAC, that's Is There Not a Cause, as well as the founder of HEART. This is the Humanitarian Association of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. And he's also the advisor to the Queen's Commonwealth Trust, Youth Advisor, Team UNFPA, Mr. Benedict Bryan. We want to welcome both of you and thank you for making the time.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Our pleasure. Now, I want to start off with you, please, Ms. Gemma. Give us a little overview. So we'll get overviews of both organizations, and then we dive down into the meat of the matter a little more. So, ITNAC, Is There Not a Cause? A little overview, please.
Okay, so Is There Not a Cause is an NGO which was founded in 2002. And we got registered in 2007. We are known regionally as a first responder to humanitarian aid, disaster relief, both locally, regionally, and internationally. In Trinidad, we serve the local community, and we serve social groups such as single moms, deportees, social disadvantaged persons with various needs, flood victims, hurricane victims, just to name a few. Okay, and we have a team of only volunteers, but God has blessed us with people who are trained and are professional, and we can always at any time efficiently and effectively respond within a 72-hour of any crisis. Internationally, we have worked in Guyana, Grenada, St. Lucia, Africa, Louisiana, the States, Dominica, Tortuga, Antigua, Barbuda, St. Martin, Bahamas, and of course Haiti. As we now have the earthquake, we have been working in Haiti since 2002. Yeah, we also have two transitional homes in Trinidad, plus a container home that we provide shelter for people who have lost their homes during this crisis of COVID. So that is a little backdrop of who we are.
All right, thank you so much.
We have been in operation for over 19 years.
Okay. Benedict, tell me a little bit more about HEART, please.
Yeah, so we have been in operation a little shorter, and really came about after, I would say, during the time when the crisis or the movement of people, humanitarian crisis, close to where we are, started. So it's really just a group of young people that came together and said, you know what, let's see what we could do to start assisting the community, because we realized there was an influx of people coming into the country. So we really started contacting various NGOs on the ground and came together as a group and realized, okay, this is what we wanted to do. Officialized the group in 2015 and then launched a few projects in between. Like any NGO, we did most of this without money. So we may not have had, I would say we don't have the reach as ITNAC, but we have been operating with a lot of different groups, NGOs across the board, Living Water, UNHCR, for like a while. We have strong relationships with different groups, and we do encourage our members to go on and then contribute to these groups as well. So myself, I sit and assist with different organizations, just like members of the group sit and assist with different organizations, because we would have taken the lessons that we've learned working in community development, working on different issues, trying to solve issues within our community, to then work with other organizations and strengthen their capacity.
No, I'm really appreciating the fact that I'm able to speak with both of you at the same time and look at your expressions. Now, Benedict, when you mentioned, like most NGOs, you're doing this on almost a kind of 5 loaves and 2 fish sort of vibration, I saw Ms. Gemma just smile and say, okay, well, who feels it knows it. But how do you feel? How do you feel hearing this from this young man, Ms. Gemma?
I feel very enlightened. I mean, because we, as I said before, we operate solely on volunteerism, and I really give hats off to him, because it's lovely to have young people who are passionate about helping those that are in need. And I want to encourage him. We have not had any official funding for the last 19 years, but because of our passion and our drive and our love for humanity, God has always provided. So I want to encourage him that go ahead with the passion that he has, and the funds will come.
And I want to ask both of you, though. I want to ask
it
both
will
of you
come,
because
be positive.
definitely looking at the positives. But I want to ask both of you, because sometimes I can see the line of argument with someone said, okay, well, I've finished my career, it's time to retire, so let me get into something like this. Why is it that you have these two young people speaking with me at this point in time saying, okay, well, this is where we're going to put our energy behind? How is it you're able to make that decision and then go after it?
I mean, I could start, right?
Yes.
It really comes from wanting to do something different. I mean, you really see things happening in your community and you always think, okay, how could you? And I mean, sometimes we think, I think the perception is not everybody is thinking about it, but it's a lot of people are actually constantly thinking about ways they could improve their community. A lot of people, your neighbor is always thinking about, how they could improve things around them. And it's something I said a few years ago, especially when we had the whole movement of people in between Trinidad and Tobago, when not during the COVID times, but sometimes we think that we aren't very community based, or we don't develop our community. But then when you look at Trinidad and Tobago, like, a lot of people in the community are always willing to help. I think it's something in us that we don't necessarily identify. So for me, I don't think I'm doing anything special or out of the ordinary, because when you talk to somebody or you talk to another young person, they're always thinking of a way separate and apart from making money, which is important. But they're always thinking of a way to improve things around them, build a community, have a little small business running something. It's just about having a conversation and yeah, being open to it.
And I guess this kind of reminds me of the lyric of a
Vicky,
song, if not now, then when? And if not us, then who? But many times you find people saying, well, I hope somebody help them people, as opposed to saying, well, let me do it. Well, let me start, because sometimes I also believe that perfection is the enemy of progress at times. So you want to get
yes,
something
indeed.
so perfect, you want to have all the money before you start, so it never happens. So it seems as though you all have not let this fall in the way of helping individuals, sometimes if even along the parable of the starfish, one at a time. I know someone also says tiny do plenty. But speaking of tiny do plenty, because the first time I heard about ITNAC, it was 2010, and sadly enough again, it was with regard to Haiti and the earthquake that was being experienced there at that time. So ITNAC is doing some work again with regard to Haiti, and I just want to get an idea of what that work is at this point, please, Ms. Gemma.
Okay, so could I just piggyback a little bit on what you had asked originally and just go into it?
Please
So
do, please do.
ITNAC was founded when a young man lost his life, and that was in 2002. He was a youth going to church, and at that time, we thought that this was one of our young people, and how could we see young people just losing their lives and we not having an impact on them? So we started off with a rally in Maloney, and where we were trying to bring the young people together and encourage them and try to lead them in a positive way. Coming out of that, Diana had a flood, and then Haiti had political unrest. So that's since in 2002. For me, I said missionary work is nothing. I am not doing that. My husband went on trips, and I said, hats off to you. But then in 2003, they had a trip to Haiti, and it was trouble getting a team together, and I went. I went against my will, but when I saw the need of the people in Haiti, I immediately submitted myself, and I said, this is what I'm going to do. So I've been to Haiti over 20 times, and Haiti is my passion. How did I do it? When I was working, I worked and I tried to manage before, but for the last 3.5 years, God knows why, I was given a package because the organization was doing a restructure. I had a nice little cushy job, and this is the best part of my life, doing missions. So as soon as I finished, I went back to Haiti, where we built 2 homes, homes so that when teams go, that they could go. We started to do a school. We've built orphanages and what have you. But coming to your point now.
But even before we come to that point, we'll actually, Ms. Gemma, I want to get that full answer coming to that point. So we'll do that on the other side of the break. We're speaking with Gemma Malchan-Benny as well as Benedict Bryan about humanitarian aid and the efforts that go into such. Stay with us. We'll return with more. Welcome back. We are speaking about humanitarian efforts with Gemma Malchan-Benny as well as Benedict Bryan of ITNAC, Is There Not a Cause, and the Humanitarian Association of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, respectively. And I wanted to get that full answer, Ms. Gemma. So I was glad I was able to stick that pin. So the ball is in your court now.
Okay, so Haiti. So seeing that we've had a relationship with Haiti since 2002, we've been going, and we worked hard. As you said, the first time you heard about us was in 2010 when we had the earthquake, and we were able to be on the ground within 72 hours at that time with doctors, nurses, a media team, support staff. Coming out of us working in Haiti all these years, we've formed relationship and network, and we have an ambassador by the name of Makandi, who is on the ground right now. So over the last 2 days, because we believe in responding within 72 hours, we were able, Avi, who is our team lead, she's over in the States, and she was able to raise over 3,000 US. So she was able to send that through MoneyGram. Mackenzie is in the north of Haiti, and the earthquake is in the south. So he was able to procure some goods, food supplies, and some medical supplies. And as we speak, he's on his way down to the south to do some distribution. So that we do assessments and what have you, but we believe in going and meet the immediate needs. So as we speak, work is being executed on ITNAC's behalf in Haiti, bringing food supplies and water and medical to the people who are in the south, who are most in need right now.
And that begs the question, and I'll ask you, please, Benedict, because sometimes we hear about large organizations like Red Cross, Red Crescent, and there are pros and cons. So to you, what are some of those pros and cons of having such a large overhead body versus something that is more decentralized, but, as Ms. Gemma would have said, is able to have boots to the ground in a much shorter period of time?
So when you look at response, you look at crisis, 3/4 of the time you would find that these organizations don't necessarily solely depend on themselves. They depend on smaller community-based organizations to really have that reach to get into the community, to understand what's happening on the ground, to understand where the needs are. I think across the board, I think right now it is standard that if you are an international major donor, international organization coming in to deliver any type of aid, assistance, or even development work, you need to understand what is happening on the ground. And how you understand what is happening on the ground is by interacting with smaller community-based organizations, smaller groups within the communities, the gatekeepers. So in the past, it was a model of, okay, you have these large organizations and they come in, but I think over time they've learned that you can't necessarily operate like that because the community understand their needs. They know what is happening on the ground. They know where the need is. They know how things should be distributed. All these organizations really have to ensure that there is a system in place to ensure like accountability, transparency, ensure logistics are in place to strengthen the capacity of these community-based groups to ensure that they're getting the aid or help or assistance that they need.
And I think there's a place for both models, but I like the fact that you would have spoken to response time, both of you, but in terms of, apart from just response time, looking at impact, that's something I want you to address, please, Gemma, in the sense that it feels sometimes as though, actually in 2010, there was a bit of pushback, and part of the reason I heard about ITNAC is that some people did not want to give to other organizations because they said there wouldn't be as much impact. They said when they gave to something like ITNAC, they saw more of their funds, more of the things that they contributed going directly to the people on the ground. How do you answer to a scenario like that?
Okay, so as he said, you have your gatekeepers. So in every organization, in every country, you have to understand culture. That's the first thing you have to understand, the culture, and you have to work with the people. So people would give to us because, for one, we don't pay overhead. So we don't have administrative costs. We would use money. Whatever money you give to the organization, that's money that is used to go back straight into Haiti. So let's use Haiti, as you said, in 2010. In 2010, when the earthquake started, immediately we, the volunteers and the doctors, we had a meeting. We said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to Haiti. We have a team in Haiti doing an impact assessment, which are our gatekeepers telling us which are the areas mostly affected. When we get to Haiti, we went through to Santo Domingo because we understood what was taking place. We loaded our trucks with goods, with food supplies, and we drove 16 hours into Haiti. When we got to Haiti, we immediately found out where were the most needed communities, and we dispatched the doctors and the nurses accordingly, and we did the supplies. And you talk about big organizations. We had big organizations coming to us, asking us to assist them because of the bureaucracy in the system. They weren't able to access the goods that were sent. That's the layer that ITNAC is not working with. We want that when the people, the needs are the initial assessment, we will do midterm and long term to see structural damage and what have you, how to go. But immediately when a disaster like this happens in Haiti, people need food, water, and medication. And when you give your money to ITNAC, you're sure, like right now it's happening, we go to the immediate communities with our gatekeepers who we have developed. Normally, I am the one who goes as soon as a disaster happens. I do this assessment. I meet with all the relevant bodies, and I join into their disaster management team so that we could have a better understanding. But because of COVID, I can't go. But thank God we've developed a relationship. So we have our gatekeepers, and we have where we could send the money and they could do exactly what we could do based on our advice. Yeah.
And we have about 1.5 minutes more, but before that, I want to make sure that we get contact information, please. And what would some of the things be that you're looking for? And I say that because I think there's also a back-to-school drive that ITNAC is carrying out. But we'll start with you, please, Benedict. How do people contact HEART? What are some of the things that you're looking for? Who are some of the partners that you have in mind that you'd try to get that you'd want to be building synergies with?
Well, we do have partners that we work with currently, and some projects anyway, that that I don't have the privilege to speak to as yet. Just in terms of contacting the organization, you can contact us at HART, HARTT, the number 4, and then all, ALL, at gmail.com. You could even search for us on Facebook, the Humanitarian Association, or just type in HARTT on Facebook and we'll come up. And you could give me a call at 765-3311, and we will just go through the process of enrollment and what our upcoming projects are. But if you are an external partner and would like to get in contact with us, that is how you do it. Give me a call.
All right, thank you so much. Ms. Gemma, how do we do that with ITNAC?
So with ITNAC, you can call 394-2042, or you could WhatsApp. That's the number that you'll get information. You could go onto our ITNAC Facebook page, and you'll get all the information, and you can also make your deposit to our Republic Bank account. Which that information you will also find on Facebook. And what we want right now is cash, because that's what is required so that we could send the money so that they could get the goods and provide the service that is required for the people at this time. We also have our back to school drive that we are collecting for that. And again, you could go onto our ITNAC page and you would get all the information. You'll get our bank account numbers, but please identify when you're subscribing, whether it's for Haiti or whether it's for the back to school, because we want to make sure what funds are given for, it's accounted for that project.
And we want to thank you so much for doing the work, literally putting boots on the ground. Benedict Bryan of the Humanitarian Association of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, Gemma Malchan-Benny, Project Manager of Is There Not a Cause? And on behalf of the entire news team, we want to thank you for tuning in to the TTT News Special. Have a good one.